You know, I told myself that I was going to stay away from the rant type of videos for a little while and focus more on the nuts and bolts, fundamentals, technology, the good technology, not the technology that's conspiring to suck the last bit of freedom from the human race, but, the technology that we all love, gearhead technology. And I was on the path to doing that until a comment popped up on a video that we did a few months ago. And the video was about this door handle situation with the later model GM cars, the trucks, where if you break the plastic inner door handle on one of these things, you can't just go to the dealer and pay 20 or 30 bucks for a replacement handle. You've got to spend $400 or $500 for an entire door card. And they did this, it's in the way the thing is constructed. It's pieced together, plastic riveted in place, glued, whatever the hell it is. I don't know. But you can't just conveniently change the door handle. I did a video on this. And now, this isn't just a GM thing. It's like all the manufacturers have gone in this direction where things that should be simple and easy, changing a light, doing anything like that, even changing a battery, is a major undertaking. It's pure greed. So we did that video a few months ago, and it's got some decent views. It's like at 410,000 views at this point. So comments keep coming in from people who are just seeing it. And this comment popped up day before yesterday. And I was going through them and I read this one, and this one actually got under my skin. Now, it takes a lot for a comment to get under my skin. Of course, you get the trolls, you stupid, you don't know anything. Yeah, and then those comments are always either in all caps or all lowercase with like crazy punctuation or no punctuation. I get a kick out of those. They don't get under my skin. I enjoy them, actually. It's when, I can't even explain to you why this got under my, well, I will explain to you why this got under my skin. I'm actually going to get pretty deep into this. But first, I'm going to read you the comment. Now, in this guy's defense, English may not be his, primary language. Or he's not very good at conveying his thoughts into the written word. All right, so let's give him the benefit of the doubt in those, But what he says is a prevailing attitude. And if you ask me, my opinion, it's this prevailing attitude that is the root of all the problems we face today. People want to blame, it's the Republicans, it's the Democrats, Biden did this, Trump did this. No, that's simplistic thinking. The problems we have as a society are much deeper than that, and they're much more elemental. We're going to get to this. Let me read this comment to you guys. Try to follow along, okay? So this is from Encarnacion. I appreciate your feedback, but I have a question. Do you own a dealership? I guess no. Do you even know what the floor insurance is? I think he means floor plan, which is the financing that dealers use to keep cars on their lot. The stuff that the dealers have to pay on a monthly basis to insure all the vehicles, even after they don't get sold, they're losing money. So if you was to own a business, are you going to be in business to lose money, or are you going to be in business to make money? Because I have friends that own dealerships. This is all one run-on sentence, okay? I'm reading it as he wrote it. I have friends that own dealerships, and they pay thousands of dollars a month just to keep the cars on the lot without even selling them. They already losing money on the first month. So what do you want the dealers to do? If you have a solution, the best thing that you can do is get your own dealership and sell your car is fairly to the consumer. When you buy your dealership, call me and let me know how it's going. Did you follow along with that? It was difficult. It was very difficult, but you get the idea, right? You get the idea. What he's saying is that the dealerships, the manufacturers and the dealerships are justified in jacking up the prices by offsetting the losses that they take selling cars by inflating the prices and taking advantage of people in the parts department and in the service department. So if you're losing money selling cars, bend over the customers in every other aspect of it. And how would I do it if I was in that business? And I guess that's why it got under my skin, because you know what? I've been in business. I'm 63. I'm going to be 64. I've been in business since I was a teenager. And ethics has been, well, the problem we have in this country, the problem, not in this country, in this culture, because it goes beyond just this country, is a lack of ethics. Not to be confused with morals, although we have a morality crisis as well. But the thing about morals is it changes from culture to culture, it changes from generation to generation, it changes through religions and stuff like that. So morality has different, many shades of morality, but ethics only has one, okay? And the concept of ethics is to treat others as you would be treated. Don't take from any, don't take advantage of anybody unless you yourself want to be taken advantage of. Who wants to be taken advantage of, right? Nobody. So why would you take advantage of anybody else? And to use staying in business, you can't stay in business unless you take advantage of people. Well, that's just purely unethical. Now, this got under my skin because he was like, well, let me know how you would handle it. Well, you know what? I have handled it over the course of my life. I'm going to give you 3 examples right here on how ethics has been the cornerstone of all of my endeavors. Right? First, I would never be involved in a dealership level of business. I'm not interested in a dealership level of business. I like to keep my businesses small and personable and manageable. So that's not the thing. But if I was in a dealership and I could not make any money through my primary outlet, which is supposed to be selling cars, no, I would not be taking advantage of people in the parts department and the service department. I say I put my money where my mouth is. So over the decades that I was in and out of the repair business, I had thousands of customers. I treated every single one of them like they were family. And I broke a lot of rules in order to do this. Like, for instance, I never gave written estimates or anything like that. What I would do, so let me explain something to you, right? When I first got into the repair end of things, when I was a teenager, I rejected the way bills were written. Okay, I rejected the whole concept of billing because to me, you're lying to the customer. Okay, and the customer has brought me a vehicle and they trust me to fix it and they trust me to treat them fairly. Okay, to be honest with them. And the very concept of the way bills are written, to me, is an out-and-out fabrication. Right? So let's use a water pump, for example. You're going to bill somebody for a water pump job. So you're going to charge them for the water pump, but you're not going to charge them what you paid for the water pump. You're going to charge them the list price on the water pump, which is not the actual price of the water pump. So you're lying to them there. It took 2 hours. It calls for 2 hours, let's say, to do that water pump. But you did it in 45 minutes. You're billing them for 2 hours. You're lying to the customer. You're lying to the customer. The bill is a fabrication. I could never do that. I probably did it a couple of times when I was a teenager, just because, well, you're learning and stuff like that. But it always it never sat right with me. It was like, this is just freaking wrong, okay? So what I would do, and I did this, like I said, through my entire life of repairing cars, trucks, all of that stuff, right? What I would do was customer would bring me the car. Now, whether they were interested or not in the actual mechanical workings of it, I would explain to them. So let's use the example of a water pump, right? So customer brings me the car, it's got a leak. So the first thing I'm going to do is with the customer there, standing right there, I'm going to pop the hood, I'm going to look, and I'm going to say, it's the water pump. See where the water is leaking, see what's running down from here. So I want to make them understand what I'm seeing and what it means. Now, does the customer know what a water pump does? Probably not. I'm going to explain. So the water pump that's leaking here, this is what's responsible for circulating coolant through the engine. It's an important thing. Now, depending on the car that you're working on, it's a very easy job to get to, or it's a very difficult job to get to, or there might be some bugaboos. So I would never give a written estimate or anything like that. I would give a verbal estimate. And it says, I'm breaking rules. But I'll elaborate in a minute. I would tell them, okay, total cost of the job, pump and labor is going to be, and I would give them a range between $200 and $300. And I would explain to them why that range. Because if it's just a straightforward thing, look, I've got to take the air conditioning compressor out of the way, I got to pull the alternator out of the way, I got to get these brackets out of the way, and I have to reach in here to get this. It takes a little time, it's a little tricky. But if everything goes well, it's going to be $200. But on these particular ones, oftentimes the bolts break off. And if that happens, I'm going to have to drill and tap, or I'm going to have to extract the bolts or whatever. It's going to take extra time. So it may be as much as $300. So your range for this job is going to be between $200 and $300. 99.99, actually, I can't ever remember anybody telling me, oh no, I'm not going to do business with you this way. Usually it's the other way around. It's like, well, thanks for explaining this to me. I get it. When do you think it'll be done? Always. Okay, just, yes, here, you've explained to me what's going on. You showed me. You let me know what the range is going to be, what my possible liabilities are. This is how you treat a customer. This is how I want to be treated. Okay? And I would give them an honest bill when it was done. And the bill would be, yes, it's going to be the lower end of the range. It was a simple job. Or no, this thing fought me tooth and nail. It's going to be the higher end of the job. And I'll show them the difficulties that I had. Here's the broken bolt that we had to pull out. Here's, the situation that was here that, or we had to get extra parts because of someone, fill in the blank. So, but I would always keep the price of the job in that verbally agreed upon range. Here's the low price, here's the high price. If I had to eat it because I had to buy more stuff, it's my fault for not telling the customer ahead of time that this is a possibility too. I mean, what are you going to do? But nevertheless, in all my years of doing business with customers, repairing cars and whatnot, I never, ever once had a single complaint. I had never been to court. Find a mechanic in New York City that never had a single complaint filed against him, that had never been to court for any reason. Find one. Okay, I was one. And my customers loved me. I loved my customers. I treated them like family. They treated me like family. It was the perfect relationship. When a customer didn't fit that mold, I got rid of them. I got rid of more customers than customers left me. Okay? But ethics. I treated everybody the way I would want to be treated, and I billed them as fairly as you could. It's just not in me to take advantage of somebody who trusts me. And if you trusted me to fix your car, I cannot take advantage of you. I was very successful. I made good money. Actually, there was a sign. I used to have a sign that I carried from place to place with me that it said, "We cheat the other guys and pass the savings on to you." And it's the truth. People would ask me, well, that seems like a lot of money. I would tell them, go get an estimate from anybody else. I'll beat it by 10%. And I would, because their prices were always ridiculously high, padded, All right. But that was the repair business. Now, I've covered a lot of ground in my years. I've done so many different things. But another business that I was in was magazines, right? And I rejected the magazine business. I made a lot of money as a freelance writer. I made more than most would because I was more hands-on than most writers were. So I was actually in the guts of these things, and I was able to bang out stories quickly. Kind of like we do YouTube videos, just bang them out quickly. So I was very successful in the business. But I rejected the business, the magazine business as a whole, and I decided not to pursue it because to me, the basic concept of it was unethical. And it was all based on advertising. It's not ethical. If Bob's Speed Parts buys ad space in the magazine, all right, so you've got to talk about Bob's Speed Parts. All right, that's fine, that's no problem. But what if Bill's Speed Parts are better, cheaper, all around? Well, you can't talk about them. So now I'm doing a disservice to my readers, because I have to slant the editorial towards the people who are paying the bills. To me, that's unethical. And I had lots of problems. I had wars. it happened from an editorial aspect. I had wars when I was in the magazine business, and I walked away from it as a whole. Like, I would get back in every once in a while and throw some freelance stories, but I walked away from the magazine business as a whole because, to me, the whole thing was unethical. It was advertiser driven. The editorial had to match the advertiser's, interests. Never mind that the person who's buying the magazine is going to the newsstand, or they've got their subscription, and they paid their money for the actual magazine. No, that doesn't really count. That's only putting the magazine in your hands. Okay, now it's the advertisers that pad everybody's pockets, especially the publisher, and so, yep, got to take care of the money interests. To me, that was just wrong. The person who was reading the magazine paid for the magazine, and they should be able to get an unbiased, untainted opinion of whatever is in that magazine. All right. So one other example of ethics. I guess this comment got under my skin because I walk this walk. I talk this talk. I walk this walk. I've made a lifestyle out of it. So another example of ethics. YouTube. Okay, YouTube. When I signed on to do YouTube, or when I decided to do YouTube, I saw that the way we were paid was YouTube sells advertising, and we get a percentage of those ads. So YouTube sells an ad for $100. I'm using round numbers. It's a silly number, but for example, YouTube sells an ad for $100. As the person making the video, I get $55 out of that 100. Okay, and YouTube gets 45. This is great. Okay. No, and again, I'm using a very simplified because it's much more complicated than that. The CPM and RPM and blah, 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 blah. But it was, the essence of it is a 55-45 split. We get 55%, YouTube gets 45%. Great. This is the business model that I'm going to agree to. This works fine. Somebody clicks on my video, they got to sit through a couple of ads, I get paid for those ads, and now we continue on, right? Now, do you ever see any sort of ad read on my channels? I get offered them every day. The offers come in literally every friggin' day. We don't even open them, okay? People wanting to pay us to do ad reads. I will not do that. To me, that's unethical, okay? Because the customer, the person who clicked on the video, had to sit through the ads that I agreed to, that I'm going to get paid from, and now I'm going to make you sit through some more ads? So you paid your dues by watching the ad at the beginning of this video and sitting through ads as they come along. Now I'm going to take advantage of you and your time, which I value, because I value my time. So if I value my time, I have to value yours as well. I'm going to make you sit through 2 minutes of an ad read? Never. Never. Will not do it. And I don't respect anybody who does. I know it's the standard of the industry. Everybody does ad reads, okay? It's unethical, okay? It's simply unethical. And on top of that, it jades your perspective, the editorial perspective. So you're making a video about, you're a car person, right? Or let's say you do a video on, you do videos on SUVs, okay? And somebody who makes floor mats is a sponsor, and you do an ad read for the floor mats. But what if you happen to come across a much better floor mat? What if you come across a cheaper, better floor mat, or just a nicer one in general? Well, you can't mention it. You can't talk about it because you're getting paid by this floor mat company. No, won't do it. It's unethical. And I do the same thing. You have all of these channels, and it's very common, where they do members only, private videos for members only. And no, right? But why won't I do that? Why do I consider that to be unethical? Because I agreed to get paid from the ads that YouTube runs on my videos. All right. Now, those are free to anybody who's going to watch these videos. So whether you're a billionaire and you're watching this video, or you're somebody who doesn't have 2 cents to rub together, right? You're going to get the same video that I'm going to produce. You're going to get all of my content. It's going to be, it's no exclusive content. If I put it out, everybody has access to it. But when you do memberships and you do private videos and all this other stuff, now what you're doing is you're excluding the least able of your viewers. the people who are at the bottom of the food chain, you know, and there's a lot of them. There's more of them every friggin' day that are scraping by. You know, every dollar counts. But now, yeah, I'll give you better content. I'll give you more direct, access to me if you pay this fee. Screw you. Screw you. I have zero respect for any of those people either. You know, I got this. I make enemies in every single business that I get into, and YouTube is no exception. And you know what? I don't care, because at night I put my head down. I sleep like a freaking baby. Nothing bothers me. I have the clearest conscience that you could possibly freaking have. Now, as far as dealerships not being able, or any business that can't cover itself in an honest, straightforward way, doing the things that you advertise, well, you know what? You should be out of business. And if this is the prevailing attitude of all business throughout a society, like it is in ours, my opinion, burn the whole freaking thing to the ground and start over again, fresh and honest with ethics. Ethics. Boy, I know this is rambling. I know, but I can't help it. That got under my skin, because over the course of my life in business, I've sacrificed tremendously over the years, in and out of, and it's sacrificing that I didn't get rich. You know, I'm happy. I'm very content. I have enough money to last me if I live for another couple of decades. I don't have to do another thing. I'm retired as far as that's concerned. So I beat the system. But I could have had the mansion and a yacht. I decided to do things on a more grounded, more ethical, or ethics-driven way. And because of that, I'm happy. A lot of people hate me for it. And that's cool. Hate me for it. All right, that's it. I've been rambling for a long time now. I hope what I said made sense. I hope it made sense. And I hope maybe it gives you a little better perspective of the reasons that I do some of the things that I do. Ethics. It's like a lost cause. I'll see you tomorrow.